Hey everyone, Chloe here and welcome back to my channel. And if you are new here, ladies and lurkers and ear hustlers, welcome. So in today's video, I wanted to continue a long overdue cautionary tale and a very important womanhood conversation that was started over at The Hive about the very triggering and the very split down the middle topic of divorce and alimony and child support and bitter women. And overall, on the topic of whether or not an ex-wife is deserving when it comes to financial child support, using the very messy public post-divorce story of actor Jesse Williams, whose divorce was finalized in October of 2020 to his now former wife, Erin Drake Lee, and the mother of his two children. Now, of course, please keep in mind, especially to my ear-hustling masculinas, that this channel is from the lens of a feminine perspective and of a hypergamous point of view. So for a bit of a most recent backstory, and for those of you who need a deeper dive, I already did a video on Jesse's entire dusty divorce story that you should check out on the channel. But most recently, actor Jesse Williams, who is now 40, in typical I quit my day job fashion, decided to voluntarily and quite savagely, in my opinion, stick it to his ex-wife, Miss Erin Drake Lee, by deciding to voluntarily quit his very high-paying Shonda Rhimes gig. And for those of you who don't know, at the time of Messy Jesse's divorce filing in 2017, it was reported that he was earning around $6.2 million a year. And you heard that correctly. Jesse was earning over $6 million a year in a role on ABC's Grey's Anatomy that basically made him a recognizable household name. And he left that gig for a very obscure, low-paying role on Broadway, in his words, and under the guise of stretching his creative wings. But this Broadway role not only pays him significantly less, but the role is also only creatively paying him in peanuts and food stamps, as he is now making a mere $1,600 a week. So in typical deadbeat fashion, Jesse ran, not walked, but ran to the courts to predictably ask for a reduction for what he claims is now a back-breaking $40,000 a month obligation in an effort to reduce his child support payments. And of course, the courts decided to wholesale, railroad, and shaft a stay-at-home mother and a woman of color in favor of a celebrity, with a most humiliating drastic reduction from 40 grand a month to $6,300 a month for two kids. So in my opinion, Jesse did what so many trifling, low character, and bitterly hateful, snake-like ex-husbands do when they are no longer in the home, by making sure that he drilled a hole in his ex-wife's boat. So not only do these kinds of men take themselves out of the home by smelling themselves and by playing the field with infidelity, but then to add insult to injury, they will go out of their feminine way to disrupt their ex-wives' lives and to make sure that the mother of their own kids is out of the home and into the workforce as well, even when they can afford it. Because in their Pettyville vindictive minds, and in the minds of many deadbeats and the dust bunnies who love them, being a stay-at-home mom isn't a quote-unquote real job that is worthy of support or respect. Now, if you have been following this divorce story for a minute, you would know that Messy Jesse, as a husband, has never really had to be a start-to-finish provider in his marriage. So quite naturally, in my hypergamous opinion, his 50-50 spirit took over, and that ruthless chip on his shoulder was triggered and activated. So he went out of his way to shortchange his ex-wife, even if that means disrupting the elevated lifestyle of his own babies. Throughout his marriage to Erin, Erin has always been the educated, independent woman, and at times the breadwinner who supported Jesse's career ambitions with her bag, and who made personal sacrifices as his longtime girlfriend turned wife and as his support system to help sustain his dreams of becoming a successful actor. And sadly, after the hopium wore off, Jesse betrayed and rewarded Erin's loyalty with disloyalty, infidelity, and by seeing himself and his blue-gray eyes as the prize. And the cautionary tale, once again, to learn is to never pull up a man by his raggedy pants with your provider bag, because 9 times out of 9, he will catch a serious case of amnesia. His memory will become very selective, and he will forget every masculina thing that you've ever gone out of your way to sacrifice for him. And while you, being his role reversal ride or die, may be sunshine and butterflies in the beginning, men in general tend to bitterly resent the women who financially help them along the way. And they also tend to treat the women who financially bootstrap them as placeholders. So clearly, Jesse is the kind of man who does not respect all that his ex-wife has done for him in the past. It is also no secret that artsy types of men of all races tend to be very selfish, very self-focused, and very flighty and on to the next. And 50-50 mindset men in general do not see their children as a long-term investment into their legacy, which is why many deadbeat men in their old age end up in pissy diapers, because deadbeat men who bail out on their kids will always have bad luck. Men, for the most part, are all about self-preservation and putting themselves first, even if it means cutting off their nose to spite their own faces. So instead of messy Jesse holding up his end of the ugly divorce bargain, he ran to the courts to get those payments reduced because he doesn't want to see his ex-wife Erin relaxing in her feminine or in the gift of motherhood. Now, for the ear hustlers who may feel that an ex-husband, in spite of what Erin may have sacrificed for him in the past, does not owe his wife a lifetime of indentured servitude and labor. But my question is, does he owe his kids? Because clearly a man who voluntarily leaves his $260,000 per episode gig for a $1,700 a week check is pulling the oldest child support stunt in the deadbeat book. And ladies, let me know in the comment section below if you ever met a man who purposely left his high-paying job just to avoid paying child support payments. Now, for the dusties and for the masculina pocket watchers, because I know you're listening, some people would call 40 grand a month an obscene amount of money. But please keep in mind that that 40 grand was correlated to his $6.2 million a year income. So before you decide to put on a cape to come to Jesse's rescue, please keep in mind that this was a baby daddy who could afford it. Now, to my feminine listeners, I want you to pay close attention to the women who are defending this dusty deadbeat move, and to the women who are saying that a successful celebrity paying only a mere 6 grand a month is more than enough, as people tend to only financially view situations from the level of their own tax brackets. What's key to remember is that Jesse's child support agreement was based on his income, and that Jesse voluntarily hustled backwards in a blueprint dusty move that jaded men have been doing since the beginning of time. And I want you to pay attention to the women who love to see another woman get lowballed, and always pay attention to the male-identified women who love to see a woman lose, and always pay attention to the male-identified women who love to see a woman knocked down a couple of notches. And some feathers may be ruffled to hear this, but a woman will always get the most applause when she is downtrodden and weather-beaten. 1, because those types of women never pose a threat, and 2, because misery will always love company. Because from day one, I have always stated, and I will continue to say, that not all women are your friends. Girl-on-girl crime is real. Jealousy is real. Black girl-on-girl crime is real. And there are always going to be women who will sit on the sidelines celebrating another woman's downfall in order to compete for dusty deadbeat men. So that is all that I have to say on this cautionary tale for now. My advice to Erin is that she hire a better divorce attorney, and that she appeal this very unethical decision, because to go from 40 grand a month to a little over 6,000 is quite drastic. And yes, men are not John Henry axes, and they aren't supposed to chop wood 39 hours a day for a lifetime, but to shirk your responsibility to spite your wife or for your so-called artistry, not even a full 2 years after your divorce, in my opinion, is the epitome of selfishness. And ladies, please let me know down below if that is something that you can respect. So, ladies, some people would argue that just because Erin was fool enough to be a loving, supportive, breadwinning wife throughout her marriage does not mean that Jesse owes her his life. After all, that was a risk that she decided to take and it didn't pay off for her. And that her entitlement to a huge monthly payout is not only something that she doesn't deserve, but it is also the kind of child support payment that reflects a woman who is bitter. But ladies, a womanhood conversation. Erin took her hypogamous risk with Jesse and it didn't pay off. So do you believe that she is an entitled, bitter ex-wife? Is it ever okay for a man to quit his job to spite his ex? And ladies, would you seriously consider dating a man who went out of his way to choose himself over providing for his kids at a high level? And as always, a huge, giant thank you to all of my new subscribers. And as always, stay tuned for more cautionary tales to come. And I will catch up with you ladies and lurkers and ear hustlers in the next one.